That is a segment of the original composition called Tiempo Perdido, which was composed by student Nathan Hames. The ACC Community Band recently performed his composition during their spring concert. Tell me about this particular composition.
Okay. I was having really bad writer's block. I could not come up with any sort of idea. I couldn't come up with any little inspiration to build this whole piece off of until one day I literally tapped a rhythm on a table and I was like, oh, that's it. That's what I'm going to do. So my rhythm, I don't...
Yeah.
So that whole bass rhythm goes throughout the entire piece. It's just jumping between instruments, jumping between lines. That rhythm is kind of the basis of the entire piece. And then other instruments have kind of solos in different sections on top of that. Mm-hmm. It's almost like almost similar to like a jazz, like a big band piece style, mm-hmm. where you have like the main kind of melody and then you have other sections coming in doing their own thing and then going out and new sections coming in and all this kind of stuff. But there were a lot of complications with writing it, actually, because initially it was in a very strange time signature that was really difficult to read. And at the very end of writing it, Dr. Termini was like, why don't you just try switching this to 4/4, like the most common time signature, and just see what happens. And so we switched it, and it just worked out perfectly. And so that's why where I got the name Tiempo Perdido, lost time, because the time signature changed at the end. We lost the original one. Mm-hmm. And it's in Spanish because it's got the chord progression and the harmony is very Spanish inspired. Even now, it's still the version we performed at the spring concert was not the final version, actually. Mm-hmm. It's still being kind of improved and updated a little bit because the key that it was in was not super great for concert band. There's some key signatures that are easier to play for concert band and some that are harder, and I had it in a really tough one, especially for clarinets, which is my own instrument, so I really should have tested it better beforehand. But we switched it, and I added some new parts, and I think we're going to work on it again in the fall semester, the new version.
What drove you to create it the way you did? I mean, I know you were talking about finding that certain rhythm and building on. As far as the harmony itself, where did that come from?
Well, there's a lot of different ways you can write music. You can kind of do it very structured and come up with different elements and then put them together and do it almost mathematically. But I'm very ear-based, where I play it out on my software, my composing software, and I write the notes in and I can play it back and listen to it. So I write it in and I listen to it and then I tweak it and then I kind of do it mostly by ear. And then when I bring it in to Dr. Termini, he'd be like, well, this works, this doesn't work. This, he'll kind of give me feedback on it and would help it kind of develop better.
How did it feel to kind of hear your own music being played out with a bunch of people performing it in the same kind of thing, knowing that all these people are having to play your notes?
It was very interesting. I learned a lot. The first time we rehearsed it, it went really bad. And that's when I kind of learned, the computer can play anything you throw at it, but real people are a different story because they actually have to move their fingers to play notes. They can't just,
right.
spawn them from the void. So there were a lot of parts that I actually had to change because either they were out of the range, they were too high or too low for certain instruments to play, or the instruments couldn't jump smoothly between two notes I had written. And that was actually the motivation for changing the key. So I basically transposed it down a whole step. So I just brought the whole thing down a little bit.
It kind of.
Yeah, just so it was in a better range for every instrument.
I mean, do you enjoy writing music on your own? I mean, is this kind of aside from what you're doing as a student as well?
Yeah, I'm a communications major, and I'm doing music on the side. But I'd always wanted to compose and do music, but I would never get past the initial idea, and but then I just never work on it. I never turn it into something finished. And so having a deadline, having homework where I actually have to finish this, I have to have something substantial to bring into my lesson, really help me actually get to the end and finish pieces. And it's really satisfying hearing once you've got it into a good place, hearing your professor tell you that it's good and then hearing it played and it sounds good. There's nothing more satisfying.
Well, then having an audience listening to it on top of that. So you're here, you say you're a communications student and you're taking music courses. So what do you kind of hope to do once you finish your education? What is your kind of ultimate goal?
I'm really into video editing. So I've been making videos and stuff on my own for a long time. My mom owns a school and she does music recitals and stuff, and so I do production for all of that. So it's a music school, music lessons, and also like a K through 12 school. And so I record those and I'll do the audio for those, and I'll edit them down and make a nice recital video for her to send out to parents and that kind of stuff. And I enjoy making videos. I enjoy photography. I enjoy audio editing. I enjoy music. I just want to find something where I kind of blend all of my different interests. I also really enjoy cooking, but that's kind of like unrelated to.
So you're kind of more
everything else.
into like kind of artistic.
Yeah.
Ventures.
When I was younger, I kind of always thought I was going to be engineering or STEM focused because my dad works at NASA and he's an engineer. And so I always thought I was like, okay, I'm going to be an engineer. And then I had a phase where I thought I was going to be a game developer because, I really like games. And then I realized I don't actually want to do the coding. That sounds like a lot of work. I'd rather be like the game designer. I want to like come up with the ideas for the game and have other people make it. Yeah, like a director. And so now I found that communication stuff and production is like a nice balance between having creative freedom and also having technical skills, like working with cameras and mics and stuff like that, but also having creative freedom in your shots and your edits and all that kind of stuff.
So do you kind of write stuff on your own, like as far as the compositions are concerned? Like, were you writing stuff on your own kind of before you got to this one?
I had made a couple of things, but they were not full. This was the first band piece.
Kind of sketching out ideas.
Yeah, this was the first band piece I'd ever written, and it was actually the second piece I ever wrote for traditional notation, because I used a DAW, which is where you make digital audio workstation, and so that's where you'll like electronic music and most modern music is made that you've got all these different tracks, audio. Now they do it like that, but what these lessons have been focused on is traditional notation, which is like a score, with notes and staffs and all this kind of stuff. And so I hadn't really worked much with traditional notation, but I wanted to learn how to do it because I'd always wanted to write my own stuff. I play piano and clarinet, and my mom's a singer, and my sister plays flute, and my other sister plays trombone. So like I've got all these family members that play stuff, and I think it'd be really cool to write stuff for us to play. But I never learned how to use traditional notation software well.
There's a lot of talk now about AI and kind of how AI like taking over areas that we used to kind of think were more like thinking. Then arts is one of them. So for you, you're sitting kind of talking about these digital playouts. How did it feel to kind of create something that, you had like the digital playout, but also then to see people perform it and have to learn it and have to get it down right before they could put it in front of a crowd?
It's so different. Because hearing it pitch perfect, even if it's perfect, even if you have all the dynamics set, you have every note exactly how you want the computer to accent it and what level you want them to play it at, and every single thing like that, they'll play perfect rhythm. It doesn't feel like it has any soul behind it. And hearing it could just be that maybe if you've got better instrument sounds, like sound files for the instruments or generators or whatever, it'll sound better. But I think there is like the human element that makes every performance slightly different is kind of the interesting part to it and the nuance. Like if you go to a piano concert from someone, you're not going, if you wanted to hear a perfect playthrough of this piece, you would listen to a recording of a perfect playthrough. But you want to hear this person's interpretation of the piece and their unique little charm that they add to it.
What do you want to do with your career once you finish?
I don't know. I want to do a lot of stuff. In the end, I think I want to own a business of some sort that relates to all of my different passions, but I'm not sure exactly what business that would be.
Well, this is the time of your life to figure that out.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I actually do have another piece that I wrote. I have a choir piece that I'm going to give to the choir. The ACC community choir in the fall semester and see if they want to sing it. Oh, cool. So, and I have a violin piece or a string quartet piece as well. So I've got a couple of other pieces that might get played or might not.
So you want to see a career in music itself when you get out or no?
I don't think so, but I'm also not opposed to it.
All right. Well, thanks for coming to talk to me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for listening. To read about these stories and more, visit alvincollege.edu/news.